Right. Okay. So um, we are almost on 3:30. So I'm just going to hang on 1 second. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure. You've got 101 things on at the moment. So I appreciate you giving your time to come and kind of learn about Pupil Voice during a pandemic. And we are almost on 3:30, so I'm going to start because I like things to run to time. So let me just introduce myself. So my name is, I'm not Sam Evans, the head of programs, who you can see in the picture there. My name is Greg Sanderson, and I'm the founder at Smart School Council. Sam is unwell today, so you're going to have to talk to me. And let me also introduce to you Chris. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Chris. I'm also from Smart School Councils. I'm the new membership manager, and it's my second week, so I'll be helping you on the comment section today.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Chris. Sorry, we don't have a picture of you yet. We should get that included. So, Chris, are you okay to kind of keep an eye on the chat box? And that means I can concentrate on saying some things which hopefully make sense. And then if you could summarize things to me when I ask, if that would be great. So, okay. So could I ask you to introduce yourself in the chat box, just to say, your name, if you're a member, and what school you're from. So we'd love to just say hello. Even though this is a weird way to be delivering this, we'd love you to say hello because it's nice to say hello. So yeah, while we're waiting for that, I'm just going to run through kind of what we're going to be covering today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of introduction to Smart School Councils, and then we're going to kind of clarify what the challenge is. And I think it's pretty clear with the title of this this CPD, but there's some really interesting research which I think will be. Oh, someone's put their camera on. Thank you so much. Hello. I won't call you out, but yeah, thank you. It's nice to see someone other than me and Chris. So yeah, we're going to be talking about some of the research behind the challenge, which I think is useful for you to know, and some really interesting research about kind of how young people's voice is so important in how things recover or how things get better. And then we're going to be thinking about different ways that we might overcome this challenge, and also thinking about some questions today as well. We've got a few teachers who are members of Smart School Council, so great to have you here, and some new teachers as well. For those of you just joining us, my name's Greg. I'm the founder of Smart School Councils, and I'm going to be asking some questions to you guys, and we've got quite a nice small group today, so if it's okay with you, I might ask you guys to speak as well, just to give you a bit of warning. And so, Chris, has anyone been brave enough to say hello to us in the comments yet?
Yeah, we've got quite a few actually. We've got Catherine from St Edmunds Primary School in Wiltshire. We've got another Catherine from St George's International School in Luxembourg. We've got Martin from Shrewsbury Academy. We've got Charlie from Whitecliffe's Primary School in Dover, and Jennifer from Morney Foundation School.
Amazing, great, thank you. So some friendly faces, or some old friendly faces that we've known for a while. Hello, and some new people that are just joining us today. So yeah, thanks so much. And Martin is from. I'm going to pick on you the most, if that's okay. I hope you're there. I can't. You've got your screen is blank, but yeah, I will be coming to you and other teachers as well as we go through today. I'm just going to let a few more people in. As we go. Cool. Okay, great. So here we go. So let me just tell you a little bit about who we are first. If you've been to, there's some more people that I can see. Hello, everyone. If you've been to our CPD before, you would have heard this, but just want to give you a reminder. So Smart School Councils, we started in 2016 with my friend who's a youth worker, and I used to work at the DFE advising on citizenship. And what our mission is to help every child lead change through Pupil Voice and democracy, with a real focus on every child. And our program is about a whole school program of Pupil Voice involving everybody, and we work in about 360 member schools across the UK and also some abroad as well. So interesting that we've got hello to the school from Luxembourg who's joining us. I hope thank you very much for coming today. And we work in a big variety of different schools, so from primary, secondary, PRUs, special schools, and international as well. And for us, the kind of core thing of what we're trying to do is to help young people to lead change using their voice through school councils and democracy, which has a huge range of benefits for the young people themselves, for... Oh, someone's just telling off a student. Would you mind putting your microphone on mute? It's great. It's great to hear because we're not allowed into schools at the moment. It's great to hear some of the the school type noises. But yeah, on this occasion, if you could stick it on mute, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, we think it's great when young people are involved. It helps them develop loads of skills for them in school and for their future, how they work with others, and it's also good for the school itself. They're more engaged. But we also think that the way schools can do this could be improved. So very typically, with school councils, the same thing come up every year. It's uniforms, it's school dinners. Quite often they've run out of steam by Christmas. They're often very paper-based. It's like minutes up on notice boards. Like it's 2020. If you're sort of 16, are you going to read minutes on a notice board? I'm not sure. Quite often they're too teacher-led. And the thing for me is this last one, number 5, that it's usually the same people who get involved. And also we've got this new kind of thing that's thrown in obviously this year. But in terms of the usual suspects point, I think only 2 in 5 people think that their school council listens to them. I think that's really worrying if school councils are really widespread. And also, I think this is even more worrying. So if you've got more than 200 books at home, you've got a 62% chance of getting involved in a school council. If you've got less than 10, you've got 30% chance. So if what we're doing with school councils is putting off pupils who are less advantaged, less from backgrounds that don't lend themselves to this, then I don't think that's good enough, to be honest. And I think what we try to do is to look at a new way to support that and involve everyone. And that's the kind of core idea of what we're trying to do. So yeah, and I guess we'll talk a little bit more about kind of how that works as we go. Sorry, there's a few more people who are just waiting to get in, so I'm just gonna do that. So yeah, any comments yet, Chris? Is it just some nice hellos?
It's just all the hellos still, yes.
Okay, great. So this is from the research that we've looked at over the kind of last few weeks and over the summer. These are some of the I guess the big challenges that we're seeing posed by social distancing in terms of pupil voice. And you talk about the kind of the lack of community or whole school feeling or belonging, powerlessness and lack of control by young people, and also the how marginalized voices are even quieter than ever. Those are the ones that tend not to get involved anyway, and in times when things aren't very clear, those are the times where they get even quieter. And so these are some of the things that we think are the challenge with schools. And I guess there's loads of research backed up, talks about this. Here's some really good research from Young Minds. And this talks really about the kind of belonging that's a real issue for pupils in schools. So because you don't have that opportunity to participate, and pastoral support's obviously harder, and that whole school feeling is just something that's difficult to kind of get across. And also some really good research from the NEVR, which talks about how youth loneliness is a bigger factor this year. The impact of losing a safe place outside the family, and also the kind of opportunities to have how you hear how your concerns are heard and worries acknowledged. And I wanted to I have not been, our school programs have kind of, we've not been into school so far this year, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. And I just wanted to hear your experience. So obviously we've got a good, nice, cozy group today. So would anyone like to sort of tell us how some of the challenges have presented themselves since you've got back? Would anyone like to just talk us through their experience? and I will pick on someone if somebody doesn't want to talk. Let's have a look. I can't see your name, but you've got a lovely beard and it looks like you want to talk.
Hi, Greg. Can you hear me? Is that all right?
Yeah, I can. Go on, Martin. Thank you.
It's Martin from Shrewsbury Academy.
Hey.
I'm presuming it's me with the lovely beard. I can't see anybody else.
It is.
So we've been doing Smart School Council for about a year. And when we started it last September, we had open applications. But as it happened, really all but one of those applications were from year 9. So we're quite lucky 12 months ahead is that the majority of our comms team are now year 10 and they're all really in one bubble. There's just this one student from year 8 who, to be honest with you, was sort of still thinking about how we can use him. So in terms of our comms team, it's slightly reduced because of increased absences, which is a real factor now in lockdown. But we're lucky that we've still got a nice core of a comms team. So there's no action teams going on. We're still getting suggestions through the class meetings, but we're still able to meet. I'm inputting the questions because the students aren't really allowed to use laptops and iPads and things. So that's an issue we need to get around. So I'm doing that donkey work, if you like, which really goes against, I think, the spirit of Smart Council. But it's, for the time being, it's a contingency we have to sort of make do with, really. But the important thing for us is just to get the class meetings up and running for all those reasons you've just said about, whole school, coming together and giving everybody a voice. So, we've already done sort of questions on reflecting on lockdown. Our next question will be a well-being question. So that's where we are at the moment, I think.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Martin. Yeah, you are the guy with the lovely beard. Thank you. So I appreciate
Thank you.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So obviously there's certain challenges as well in terms of kind of just like logistics around how people go on computers, because I imagine, you can't have lots of people sharing IT suites or laptops or anything at the moment. And what about, so you're seeing this in a secondary, from a primary perspective, we've got lots of primary teachers in the Zoom as well. Would anyone like to sort of talk about what's been happening with that, with what have been the challenges with creating a school community at the moment? Or is there any specific stories or kind of pieces of information that you'd like to share?
If I could share, if that's okay, I hope you can hear me. I'm from a one form entry primary school in Wiltshire. We are feeling really disconnected at the minute because of our bubbles within school. I haven't seen my colleagues in Key Stage 1 for quite some time because they are over the other side of the building. They've got different staff rooms, all the rest of it. And just trying to think about how I can manage a whole school council when I can't go into anybody else's bubble, they can't come into mine. It's just really challenging, if I'm honest.
Absolutely, yeah. I hadn't really thought of that, like the idea that there's just big groups of colleagues that you won't be interacting with on a kind of, just to kind of say, oh, have you forgotten this thing, or have you thought about this? Yeah, that's obviously a big challenge. Lots of nodding heads there. Anybody else want to come in on that?
I'm Charlie. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've sort of found the same thing, really. We are trying to reboot our school council. We've had a complete rebranding of the school anyway. So we're now trying to reboot ours. We're a 2-form entry. So we have just sent home applications. So if the children wanted to be part of the school council, they could fill out an application as such, and then they almost presented it to the class, and it was the class that then voted for their school council. which is always hard because children just choose their best friends at that age. But we were quite lucky, I'm in year 6, and we were quite lucky. It wasn't the most popular child that got voted. It was the children that put forward the best application. But we're now struggling with how do we meet, because we've now got 7 year groups, all with different children in. We can't break bubbles, same as I think it was Catherine said, I'm not allowed to see other colleagues at the moment, so how do we then get the children to meet safely, have discussions, because we know they've got the fantastic ideas of how they want to make the school a better place for them. But yeah, it's really hard at the moment, and hopefully we can come up with some answers of something. But if we're not allowed to break bubbles, is there a way we can move forward? I know no one may have the answers, but we're struggling with it too. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Charlie. Yeah, this is the bit where we talk about the challenges. So yeah, you've definitely you've all nailed that. So at least it's good to kind of really clarify what they are. And I guess we've got some we've got a particular approach with Smart School Councils where you can have pupils leading class meetings where they wouldn't have to break bubbles. And as we go through, we can talk about how that works and how that means that everybody can get involved in a way that will kind of respect those social distancing boundaries. So yeah, Martin referred to it in his school, but yeah, it'd be good to also kind of dig down a bit deeper into that as well. So I think that's enough on kind of your experience, and in case anyone else wants to come in, but I think I'll move on if that's okay. I think the challenge is pretty clear. And I think one of the things that we would like to kind of get across, and when in terms of kind of considering how we respond, is that it's really important. And I know this isn't the most practical tip, but thinking through how we can continue to involve young people and give them a positive and clear voice in what happens is really important. So here's some research from Australia, which talks about the Australian disaster resilience and knowledge, and how you kind of bounce back after something that's difficult that's happened. And I think there's the key quote here is this one on the right hand side. So participatory approaches that engage infants, children and young people in community preparedness, response and recovery processes in a supported way promote a sense of self-efficacy and competence that can help offset the disabling effects of exposure to disasters. So quite wordy, but their experience in kind of helping young people to come to terms with what's going on with the world after kind of bushfires and things like that in Australia is that the way to support young people to go beyond it is to help them connect with it safely. And I think that's our starting point, that it's very important to do this. So I imagine you'll all agree with me, which is why you're here on this CPD. But I just wanted to mention that this is a well-researched area that should support us even more to move forward. And so, yeah, here's the message. Involving pupil voice across the school is more important than ever. And I wanted to show you a couple of ways that we are helping pupils to connect safely with what's happening in their world. So I just wanted to show you a couple of examples of our class meeting tool. So this is a tool which young people use to run a really quick class meeting in every single class. And each week we send out a question. So this was a question about should UK pupils wear masks to school. Let me just put the link to try that in the chat, and then if anyone hasn't had a go of it, you can have a go. So if you just have a look in the chat, then you can see that. Sorry, I've lost my place. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah. So this is our kind of way of helping to get everybody involved in a simple and quick way. So questions like this one: should all pupils in the UK wear masks at school? You I guess maybe one of our member schools. Do you want to sort of talk us through how you approach class meetings, how they work? Martin, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so our comms team come up with a question. Sometimes a question will be given to us by a member of SLT. So for instance, one of our questions recently was about voting for the names of the new house, the house system. So sometimes it will also be a top down, but mostly our students will think of a question that they think is relevant. They'll type it in, and as you can see on the screen, they'll come up with a number of choices. That link then is sent to every form, and so I think some schools do it every day at a particular time for all tutor groups in the week. We do it over a week, so over a week, each form group will find a dedicated time to look at this question. Usually, what happens is 2 students from each form lead the meeting. So one will be the actual leader of the meeting, and the other one will be the scribe who records the results. So what usually happens is they click on the link, a screen opens that tells you the results of last week's meeting. It'll tell you anything that's been decided, any actions that have been decided, and then you'll get this question. You'll get the question, and students are asked to go into groups. We usually find that you want about 4 or 5 groups per class, but that might depend on class sizes. And then they're given a few minutes to discuss in their groups their answer to that question, and then they share it with the group, and then the scribe inputs it, and it gets sent down the ether to the comms team, who then look at the results and see if there's anything that needs further action, and then the results will be published next week. What we really like about this is the element of discussion, because so much of the kind of the recent specifications for exams have this emphasis on evaluation and interpretation, and this is where it's practiced. It's practiced in a kind of pressure-free environment where students get to learn how to present a point of view and take on somebody else's perspective. So that's why we really like it, and we love it, quite frankly. Is that okay for you, Greg?
That was great. I think I should give you a job in explaining how the class meetings work, because that's better than I could do it. Yeah, so that was amazing. Thank you. Yeah, brilliant. And I want to come to either Jennifer or Angela, because they're other fantastic member schools, and I want to ask them where you guys are up to. What have you had any class meetings so far this year? And if you don't want to speak, you can put it in the chat.
I don't mind saying that we've just started our first class meeting this week. It's something, the communication team isn't up and running yet, but I felt like that we needed to get the class meetings going just so that we could get the pupil voice coming back through school again. So I've set the question, which again, I know isn't really the purpose. But it's just to get those meetings up and running again. Yeah, and I think thank you, Angela. It's good to hear your voice, because it's been a while since I saw you at an in-person CPD a few years ago. Yeah, and I think that's important, because once you get those class meetings up and running, you can always get the comms team to take over picking the question and analysing the results. But I feel like it's good to get the momentum going. And Angela, do you mind if I post a Twitter link to your class meetings that has been going on this week? Because no,
the pictures have been
that's fine.
The pictures have been amazing. Let me just find this. Where are they? Sorry, this is. I'm going to post this in the chat so you can see these amazing primary pupils in what class is it? I don't know. But Lily,
that's my class. That's a year 4 class.
is it? Okay, yeah. So yeah, they're leading these meetings excellently. So I just wanted to highlight and celebrate your pupils, Angela, because they're doing amazingly. So thanks for sharing them. But yeah, so these are the types of questions I think we can help young people to connect and have a kind of, yeah, connect safely with what's going on. And it's other questions like this I think is important. So this is a question we're doing this week. Each week we suggest a question for schools. Now you're back in school, how safe do you feel? Which is, I don't know, like, have you got a sense of how your pupils would answer this question? Are they just like, yep, we're back, we're because I guess young people are often very good at adapting, aren't they? It's, I don't know, have you got a sort of sense of what they would say?
I know this is the question that we've done for our class meeting for this week, and I think we just kind of assumed that because everyone's come back into school in such a settled way that they were all feeling totally happy and safe. And then when we've actually looked at it, there's quite a lot of them that weren't. And they wouldn't have maybe had the opportunity to put those feelings or those thoughts across until we've done it in this way. So it's been really valuable for us this week to find out a bit more about how they're actually feeling.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's good to hear, Angela. Thank you. Chris, have we got any comments?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think Jennifer Daly shares you in that. She's added here that we've not had any class meetings yet, but we will begin them soon with a focus on well-being. We will be making a comms team from my year group, year 4, to start things out before the end of the year.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Good plan, Jennifer. Thank you. And if you need a hand, just let us know. Yeah. And that's great. For anyone who's not a member, I can send you this, if it's useful, I can send you this presentation so you can like try out all the links. So if you want the presentation, just stick a note in the chat and we can send it to you afterwards and you can try out all these different tools. Yep. So yes, please is there. That hopefully means that this has been useful. So yeah, so that's one way I think is about kind of helping them to connect in a safe way, in a safe environment with what's going on. And I'm glad that that's being a useful process. And just a bit of background. I mean, we've talked about this, but yeah, what a class meeting is, for those of you who don't know, short pupil-led meeting supported by the class meeting tool. This is a really dry way of showing what is in Angela's tweet that I linked to, because that's much more exciting. But they don't have any prep, any login or software to download it for the class teacher. It's just nice and easy. They click on a link and they can get involved. And yeah, so that's class meetings. So we've talked a little bit about how class meetings are going, but I wondered if, like, what other ideas are you guys trying with involving or trying to help people to connect safely? Have you been doing like virtual assemblies or anything like that? Some nods of the head. How have they been going?
We've only done one so far. Once we nailed the technology, it was actually okay, and it was a celebration assembly, which we usually have on a Friday afternoon, which celebrates certificates that are being given out during the week, as well as birthdays and various other bits and pieces. I think it's required us to take a huge step forwards in terms of the use of virtual technology in the classroom, which inevitably highlights other things like issues with broadband and Wi-Fi signals and things like that. But yeah, we are getting there, and it is a way to make it work. It's just harnessing the technology and getting it all to work all at the same time that's been the challenge.
Yeah, that can't be easy, I guess, if you've got slow broadband, and it's just going to be a bit kind of difficult, isn't it? Anybody else been trying anything else that they would like to highlight, or has this just been has it been, oh, we're just going to wait and see and what we can do in terms of this stuff? Okay. Okay.
Over in oh. Over in Luxembourg, we're in quite a different situation to the UK. So we're back almost not as if nothing's happened, but we're back like just wearing masks constantly. We have assemblies in milepost groups, so all of year 5 and 6 have it together, and year 3, 4. And that's been working quite well, but we're fortunate with our space that we can socially distance quite easily. Going forward with student council, one way that we've found to get around the meetings and relaying ideas, because we're not a member school at the moment, is by using the student radio, which is basically just recording meetings and recording ideas to play then in classes, which hopefully should go quite well. Haven't tried it yet, but it's something that we're setting up. So that's something we're doing to get around things, but it's quite a different situation over here, I'm realizing.
Yeah, and it feels like the direction that the UK is going, maybe make that difference even bigger, I guess. But yeah, radio, that sounds amazing. That sounds like a great. I'd love to hear how that goes. Have you got like different shows and stuff? How does that work?
Well, it started, we have a student radio club which records it with interviews with people around the school, and then plays songs, and we are encouraged to play it in our classrooms on a Friday. We rarely, sometimes remember, sometimes don't, but we're trying to utilize it a little bit more, and yeah, develop different shows. If there's a great piece of work in a student's classroom, then we put it on the radio. And yeah, at the moment, it's not utilised as well as it should be, but we're hoping to, with the ICT coordinator, to have different class shows and also a student council radio show. And that would be a good way to get around all the social distancing and all the new regulations.
Yeah, go for it. Good luck. It sounds like a really useful way to approach it. Yeah, keep us posted with how you get on. I'd love to hear more. Cool. So yeah, there's a whole thing there about connecting people with what's going on in a safe way. But we also, one of the things we've also been seeing recently is how, and it kind of relates, I guess, a bit more directly to that, the research from Australia, is that helping people to be supported to have a say on what school looks like. Now, obviously, that has to be within certain measures, right? So there's legal requirements around, what schools should be doing, and there's government requirements around safety and precautions and all those policies. But there is the opportunity to give young people some kind of say to shape what school looks like with all the new things that are coming in. So a couple of schools that we've seen doing this really well. So here's a class meeting that we saw from, it's actually a school in Blackheath in South London, where they asked pupils in their class meeting, so across the whole school, playtime activities need to be redesigned due to the current situation. What do you think should happen? Now, this was a few weeks ago, before it looked like the restrictions were going up again or becoming more stringent. So I'm not sure whether you can still ask this question, but yeah, I think it's a good example of ways in which you can ask and help all of your pupils to discuss a question which could actually make school better for them in maybe just quite a small way, but yeah, I think it's examples like this which might be so doesn't just sort of connect them with what's going on, but actually says, we'd like to have you to have a say on kind of what things look like. So Martin, have you done any questions like this? What have your questions been? Because it sounds like you've done a few more than maybe most people at this stage of the year. What have you done any questions in a sort of similar vein to this?
No, we haven't. I'm just making a note of that question because it's a really good one, isn't it? And it's striking. Actually, it's just struck me that we haven't really consulted our students at all on arrangements. So one of the questions that I'd like to ask is, we've got a one-way system around our school to sort of preserve the bubbles, and I'd like to know how well they think that's working, and or whether it should be redesigned. So our questions so far, as I said, we've looked at a question about the names of the house system. We've looked at a question on reflecting on home learning, and our next question will be a question on well-being. It'll essentially be that question about how safe do you feel, I think.
Yeah, great. Okay. And Angela, can I come back to you? Have you got any thoughts on what you might ask? Have you got any sort of thoughts of questions you might be asking in this type of vein?
To be honest, I'm just writing some of those ideas down about the playground, about especially reflecting on home learning, because that's such a big thing. And the way we're seeing things going at the moment, we've got increasing numbers of pupils in isolation, so we've got pupils in and out all of the time, so we're constantly having to think about what our home learning looks like. So to actually have the pupils informing that would be a huge thing. So that's something that I've just put down to think about for next time.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And so, yeah, I guess I think I just wanted to raise this as a kind of way that there might actually be genuine ways to ask pupils, and obviously you don't need to be a member to do this. You could survey them, or you could ask a certain classes or year groups or whatever. I just think there are opportunities to involve them in the process of what school might look like. Has anyone else that got anything they'd like to ask or say on that kind of point? Any comments, Chris? Have I? No? Okay, cool. Great. And like I said, I'll send you this PowerPoint. So if you want to try out these ones, try out these class meetings, then if you've not used them before, then you can have a go. Okay, so I also just wanted to, I guess we've got a little bit of time left. It's just to think about kind of how else we can involve young people in shaping things. And I kind of wanted to ask about this in the context of that home learning. So, I mean, what are people? What's everyone's attendance like at the moment? lots of hands that are going like this, or yeah. So what? Because I'm interested in, because if there's even there's such a big challenge there. So Catherine, yours is good at the moment.
Yes, as far as I'm aware. I mean, my class have been absolutely full of cold. So there's been lots of cold in my class. But touch wood, everything it's what we would expect at this time of year at the moment. But I don't know whether that'll change going forwards. We need to wait and see, I think.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good to hear. And Charlie, yours is hit and miss. Is that hit and miss with like day to day or class to class, or what? How does that look?
Everything, all of the above. Yeah, mine's really hit and miss. I'm a class of 30. One day last week I had full class, the next day I had 7 missing, and it's sort of the same across the board. It's nothing linked. I think I've had 2 children that have had to isolate until they've had a test. But other than that, it's just coming back together after 6 months off as well. We've got sickness bugs, we've got colds coming about, but the children panic because they feel slightly unwell and immediately they think it's linked to the virus. But we've had 6 months away from each other, so we've got no immunity to each other again anymore. So we're really hit and miss. And it can be they're having one day off, they're having a week off. So we're all over the place, really. But yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, good. Well, thanks for being honest. Yeah, it sounds. I'm really interested in that, how we can, you know, if more young people are at home over the coming months, which sounds like it might be the case, how we can support that as an organisation, and how we can potentially make or improve. We started this project called Home Debate Club in the pandemic, which is basically it's trying to bring the idea of debate and democracy from the classroom to the living room for kids where that's not a normal kind of dinner time activity of having a debate. So I'm interested to hear hear how things are going, because that might be something that we do more of in the future. Okay, that's useful. Does anyone have any questions to me or Chris or to each other? I realise, so just to kind of recap there before, if you've got any questions, you can stick them in the comment box. But just to recap, what we're saying with this is that obviously the challenge is significant, and I think that the challenges have been added to as we've gone on. So we've got the big issues of pupils not feeling connected or belonging to the school as a result of lack of kind of connectivity with each other in the institution. But we think that this is really, really important to overcome, because that's how young people will be able to, move forward with their lives. And our kind of three things that we focused on is that, yep, it's very important. Yes, there's good ways to connect them safely by asking them questions about what's going on in the world. Should people wear masks? How safe do you feel? And then thirdly, it feels like there's simple, practical questions around how they can get involved in shaping what school or home learning might look like. And that last kind of challenge there of like, well, you don't know which kids are going to turn up every day is definitely something which yeah, we should have included in the challenges, because yeah, that if they're not there, then that's pretty difficult. So that's a bit of a recap. Chris, have we got any questions, or have I just sort of made everyone switch off at the end of the day? Okay, yeah, I've made everyone switch off at the end of the day. So we're a few minutes early, but I don't think that's an issue if everyone wants to get home or tidy up for the rest of their day. So what can I do next? We'll send you the PowerPoint for this presentation, which has all the resources. And it sounds like it might be useful to send you examples of questions, if you remember, that you could use to kind of either to connect with what's going on in the world, or to help think about what school might look like. So maybe we'll do a blog post about those, because we can see all the questions that are coming from all of our schools. So it would just be a case of like seeing, oh, here's 15 really good questions that have come out. And I can send those round to you as well, if that would be useful, because I think, yeah, it's a good and easy and safe way, most importantly, to involve pupils. And as we said, that's really important. So just a big thank you from me. This is part of our kind of CPD program. It's all free. So if you'd like to come along to anything else, if you're not a member and you'd like to hear more about it, then just drop me an email. We'd love you to kind of get involved in Smart School Councils. And in particular, thank you to Martin and your lovely beard for just talking through your approach. Yeah, thank you so much for your time in coming along. It's always, I know how much you've got on at the moment, and from Chris and I, it's great that you could come along and share 45 minutes with us. So yeah, have a good rest of your day, and I will drop you an email before the end of the day.